guys, I will be sharing a list I managed to compile of the most expensive possible loadout in CSGO. When making this video, I thought the regular list, which wouldn't include floats, stickers and patterns and all of that good stuff, would be kind of boring. But if anyone is wondering, without including all of that good stuff, the most expensive loadout is around $140,000 as of now. But today I will show the most expensive skins for every single gun in the game, which would make the most expensive possible loadout. Of course, I have to make a disclaimer that some prices might be off, because items in this video are extremely hard to price and value, and they could sell for more or less of the price I mentioned in the video. They are so rare that sales of these items happen very rarely, that if they even sell. So to be on point with the exact price would be basically impossible, so don't take it too seriously. That's why I have to give a special thanks to Kui, who helped me a ton making this video. Same with Budishin and Robert for a couple of price checks. So let's begin with our absolute baller loadout. I will start low and go up until the most expensive items, so obviously I will be starting with the heavy gun category. And I'll start with a very well known skin for the M249. It will be the Gator Mesh Factory New. This skin is worth around $15,000 to $20,000. The owner has declined a $10,000 offer around a year ago. This skin is obviously very special because it's the lowest float item in the whole game, if we exclude the no star Karambit, because obviously you can't beat the perfect float. Moving to the Negev, we have the Mjolnir. There's nothing special applied in this one, but once again, it has quite a special float. It is the #1 float Negev Mjolnir, and the base price of this skin is already more than $2,000. But since you can use it for a very low float Gungnir trade up, it adds a ton of value, and the Negev is worth around $10,000. The next one is the Sawed Off, and here we begin with the high tier crafts. The most expensive Sawed Off is the StatTrak Factory New Kraken with 4 Vox Hollows applied, and this shotgun is worth around $20,000. Fun fact, 3 of these exact crafts exist, but the #1 float is banned. One of the cheapest guns in this category is the Nova, but it might be the most expensive skin here. It would be the StatTrak Field Tested Tempest. It has 4 Reason Hollow stickers, and this bad boy should go for around $20,000 to $25,000. Then we have 2 more shotguns left in the heavy weapons category, and the most expensive Mag 7 is probably this Heaven Guard in minimal wear. It is a mixed Katowice 2014 craft, has a fire and ice combo mixed with Dignitas and Mousesport's Hollows. To the right person, this should sell for around $7,000 to $10,000. And for the last spot, we have the XM. And as for this one, there are 2 contestants that are worth very similar amounts. It would be either the Blue Steel and Factory New with the iBuyPower Hollow and LGB Hollow, or the StatTrak Heaven Guard in minimal wear with the iBuyPower and Hellraiser's Hollows. Both of these are worth around $3,000 or a little bit above that. That would be it for the heavy weapons section, and it is the cheapest one that we will be discussing today, even though these 6 items are worth $80,000, so it's not really that cheap. Moving on, we have the SMGs, and this category definitely has some bangers, especially the first one on the list. It is OniPixel's favorite skin, the Mag 10 Heat in StatTrak minimal wear. This infamous skin has 4 Reasoned Hollows, and it's very well known because OniPixel sold it quite a while ago, very cheap, and now regrets that day forever. This thing should go for anywhere between $35,000 to $50,000 in today's market. Then we have another 4 times Reasoned Hollow skin, which will be one of the worst guns in the game. It is the PP-Bizon Water Sigil in StatTrak Factory New. This bad boy should sell for around $25,000 to $30,000, but the gun is barely used and it's in a banned inventory, so we will never see the actual sale or the exact value it would go for. And yes, I have included some banned skins in this video because I wanted to make a video about the most expensive skins for every single gun in the game that could make this imaginary loadout. Though, of course, this loadout is never gonna happen since some of the skins won't ever be for sale, so I thought I'd include the banned skins too. Anyway, the next gun at least has some more use in the game than the PP-Bizon. It is the P90 Asimov in StatTrak Factory New. As you can see, it has 4 Titan Hollow stickers, which are worth around $65,000 each. This one is listed for $141,000 on buff, but the real value is around $35,000 to $50,000. Then we have another and the last skin in the list that doesn't have any stickers applied. It is the #1 float MP9 Wild Lily. It should go for around $8,000 if anyone will be buying it to check it in the trade-up contract to get the Wild Lotus, though it will be hard to beat the #1 because recently the new number 1 AK Wild Lotus was crafted with just 5% chance. Moving, we have a UMP Primal Saber in StatTrak Factory New with 4 LDLC hollows applied. It does look pretty good considering it's a UMP, and since the Cato market is booming and LDLC sticker price is increasing, this should go for approximately $25,000 to $30,000. 2 more SMGs left in the list before we move on to the really cool and interesting stuff. So as for the MP7, we have a StatTrak Factory New Bloodsport with 4 Hellraiser's hollows on top of it. It looks amazing, matches the colors perfectly, and if it went up for sale, it should fetch around $15,000. And the last but not least, it's a very unique item from a very well-known collector's path inventory. It is a Souvenir MP5 Lab Rats in Factory New. The skin itself is definitely not special at all, even though it has 4 iBuyPower hollows from Cologne applied. The value comes from the float. This skin is the number 1 float for any Souvenir skin by far, and in fact, it is the 21st lowest float item in the game if we exclude the No Star Karambit, and of course, it's the number 1 float for this particular gun. Pricing it is insanely hard since only very niche collectors like Pav himself likes items like these, and the valuation I came up with is probably the roughest one on the list. I would value it at around $5,000 to $15,000. Starting off with the default pistols, we have the Glock Fades, and we have 2 options to choose from, and both of them should be very close in value. First one has 4 Titan hollows and the other one has 4 iBuyPower hollows. Both of them should go for a little bit more than $50,000, though the one with iBuyPower hollows is a 1 out of 1, while the one with the Titans has 3 crafts just like that, only one of them is permanently banned. So it makes the iBuyPower one a little bit more rare and maybe even more expensive. As for the CT side, we have a very clean USB stainless with 4 Titan hollows applied. This cutie should go for a little bit less than $50,000. Moving to the other pistols, we have the P250, which also has 2 different options. It's either the Gunsmoke in Factory New with 4 iBuyPower hollows, or the StatTrak Factory New Splash with 4 Titan hollows. Both of them should also go for very similar price tags of $30,000 to $40,000. Deagles will also have 2 different options for the very similar price tag. It would be either the Cobalt Disruption or the Mecha Industries, both in StatTrak Factory New with 4 Titan hollows on them. Both of them look very clean and shiny, that's why they would go for around $40,000 to $50,000. Most of the named pistols were around $40,000 to $50,000, so here we have some cheaper pistols in our loadout. The CZ of our choice would be the Poison Dart. Even though the skin alone looks pretty mid, combining it with 4 Titan hollows will make it look pretty sick and will pump the price tag up to $30,000 to $40,000. Going even lower, we have the Revolver, which also has 2 different options, and both of them are fairly cheap considering the items that will be in the rifles category. It would be one of the glitched bone masks, which shouldn't even exist in the game, but they do, and that's why they go for around $10,000 to $15,000. Or it would be the StatTrak Crimson Web in Factory New with the 4 Reason Paper stickers on it, which should go for a similar amount. Both of these skins look okay, but all we care in this video is the price tag. Then we have one of the most unique skins in the list, which happens to be the dual Berettas. It is the Factory New StatTrak Panther with 2 Dignitas and 2 iBuyPower hollows applied. Even though people started to use dualies a bit more these days, the skin would still go for a fairly cheap price considering the sticker value is close to $200,000. This skin would fetch around $15,000 to $20,000. Then, coming back with expensive skins, we have a Tech 9 Fuel Injector in Factory New and of course StatTrak. Sadly, this one is also in a banned inventory, but it has 4 Reason hollows applied and would go for around $40,000 to $50,000. As for the P2000 skin, the Forgotten Brother of the USP, it would be the Ocean Foam with 4 Titan hollows slapped on top of it. I don't really like how the skin looks with or without the stickers, but some people do, that's why they would grab it for around $40,000, while the owner has it listed for around $140,000, which is pretty unreasonable. And the last one and most expensive pistol on the list is surprisingly the 5.7, but it's definitely understandable why. It is the case hardened StatTrak Factory New Pattern ID 690 with 4 Titan hollows slapped on top of it. This one is also extremely hard to price. The owner has it listed for $141,000, but realistically it will probably go for around $70,000 to $85,000, which is absolutely crazy for a pistol. And now, the most interesting and important part of the loadout. The rifles. Starting off strong, we have the AK-47 in case hardened finish StatTrak Factory New pattern ID 661, also known as the Scar pattern. Of course, we gotta slap 4 Titan Hollows on top of it to make it even more expensive, and this exact one sold for around $400,000 in a deal Zipple had a month ago. Then, a skin that will probably be the most expensive weapon in the game if it went up for sale, the Souvenir Factory New Dragon Lore with 4 Titan Hollows applied. It is the 3rd best float Souvenir Dragon Lore, and pricing this monster is extremely hard, because souvenirs usually lose their value if you scratch the stickers. But does it actually go down if you reapply 4 Titan Hollows? After discussing with a very well-known trader Robert, we thought to value it at around $450,000. Though, once again, a huge disclaimer, it's insanely hard to price skins like these, especially when they don't really sell, so take it with a grain of salt. As for the M4A4, we would definitely go with the StatTrak Factory New Howl with 4 iBuyPower Hollows. The number 3 Howl with 4 iBuyPower Hollows sold for $215,000 through Zipple's auction over on Twitter. So realistically, the number 1 float for this craft without an auction could probably reach $250,000. Those listed on buff for $450,000. As for the Galil, there's actually a very nice matching craft on a StatTrak Factory New Sugar Rush. With 4 LDLC Hollows slapped on it, you will get around $30,000 to $50,000 because there's barely any good crafts for Galil out there, since most crafts Galils have are on blue titaniums, shattereds, and sandstorms, since all of these skins came out in 2013 and were very cheap, just like the Katos back then. Though, as for the Famas, we have even cooler craft on a StatTrak Factory New Pulse with 4 Dignitas Hollows, and since the Diggy Hollows are going through the roof right now and are close to $30,000 per piece, this craft should go for around $25,000 or so, but it's listed for a little bit more than 60% sticker price, which is $70,000. Then, if we were to have both M4A4 and M4A1S, we would be grabbing a hot rod just like with the Glock Fade. We would have to choose from either the 4x Titan Hollow or 4x iBuyPower Hollow one. Both of these absolute god tier skins should be around $85,000 to $100,000. As for the auto snipers, the guns that barely get any use, for CT side we have a Scar 20 StatTrak Factory New Crimson Web with 4 iBuyPower Hollows going for around $20,000 to $30,000. While on T side we have the G3 SG1 StatTrak Factory New Hunter with 5 Ninjas in Pyjamas Hollows, and it's only $3,000 to $4,000. The price range here can be very rough, but Stack most likely won't ever sell this one, but it's probably somewhere between $50,000 to $100,000, which is insane for a scout. And 2 last skins are SG Souvenir Rank 2 Integral with 4 Hellraisers Hollows. It definitely looks pretty nice. It's listed for $17,000, though I feel like the real value of it is around $14,000 to $15,000. And the last but definitely not least is the Og Akihabara Accept, also known as the Weeb skin, with 4 Dignitas Hollows slapped on it. This is listed for a pretty reasonable price of $70,000, which is a little bit more than 2 sticker price. But realistically, I believe it would sell for around $50,000 these days. And that would be it for the guns, and the last items we need for our loadout is the knife and glove combo. The most expensive gloves would definitely be the number 1 Pandora's box, which should be around $75,000 to $100,000 if not more, since regular ones are around $60,000. And as for the knife, we have the legendary Karambit Case Hardened Factory New Pattern ID 387. This knife is well known for having a $1.5 million offer, and the owner said that it's just too low. Well, in today's market, I believe this knife is around $1 to $2 million, even though it had a $1.5 million offer. If the deal doesn't go through, you can't really say it's worth that much. But I definitely think it could go for that much, if not more, if it actually went up for sale. So, in the end, the most expensive possible loadout would go for around $3.7 million, which is absolutely insane and kind of not doable due to some items being not tradable or stuck in collectors' inventories. Even though it seems like this collection is worth insane amounts of money, it doesn't mean that it would be a waste, because with the current trends, this collection could turn into $4 or even $5 million in the upcoming years. But this is just a guess.